Hey guys, welcome to this explainer. If you're in 8th grade right now, you know you're standing on the edge of something absolutely massive. You're stepping into your role as a young adult, and you're shaping not just your own future, but the future of your entire community and your country. Today, we're talking about your rights, your freedoms, and the incredible power you hold as a citizen. We're going to break down exactly how to use that power with wisdom, courage, and a really strong moral compass.
But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, I actually want you to stop for a second and really think, what would you do if your freedoms were suddenly taken away? Seriously, imagine waking up tomorrow and being told you just can't say what you believe anymore. Imagine being told you can't gather with your friends or that you literally aren't allowed to pray or worship. It feels completely wrong, doesn't it? That immediate feeling of injustice you're experiencing right now, well, that is exactly why this topic is so personally crucial. Your freedoms are incredibly precious, but they aren't guaranteed to just magically stick around if we don't understand and protect them.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. The foundation of freedom. 2. The Bill of Rights. 3. Your rights in action. 4. Freedom and responsibility. And 5. Education with biblical morality. All right, let's just jump right in.
Section 1. The foundation of freedom and understanding unalienable rights.
So before we can even talk about the laws of our country, we really have to look at the very foundation of what a right actually is. Unalienable rights are basic freedoms that are God-given and literally cannot be taken away by any human authority. So the absolute crucial point here is that these rights, they're not gifts from the government. The government didn't invent them, and a king or a president didn't grant them to you as some sort of special favor. Because they come directly from God, no human being has the authority to strip them away from you. They're inherent to your very existence.
Now, what's really fascinating about this slide is how Thomas Jefferson captured these exact ideas in the Declaration of Independence. He wrote that all people are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you know, this wasn't just a catchy phrase. It was a radical, world-changing declaration that every single human being has infinite value and dignity. It really set the stage for the whole shebang, everything that followed in our nation's history.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Bill of Rights, or as I like to call it, your shield against unfair power.
Having unalienable rights is awesome in theory, but you actually need a way to protect them in the real world. Think of this next document as your personal shield. 10. Yep, that is the magic number here. When the United States Constitution was being written, actually, scratch that, when it was finally put together, people were terrified that the new government might become way too powerful and start acting exactly like the tyrannical kings they had just fought a literal war to escape. So, to prevent that, they added the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. And this collection of 10 rules, that's what we call the Bill of Rights.
Way back in 1791, these specific amendments were officially added to the Constitution. Fun fact for you, there were actually 12 amendments originally proposed, but only these 10 made the final cut. Their entire purpose was to guarantee your individual freedoms and place strict, unbreakable limits on what the government could do to its citizens. These 10 amendments are the exact reason the government cannot just boss you around without cause.
And honestly, here is why this matters directly to you right now. Knowledge is power, period. If you don't know your rights, you won't even realize when someone is trying to step all over them. Understanding these amendments is a massive tool of empowerment. It equips you to instantly recognize unfairness. Because when you know your rights, you're prepared to speak up, not just for yourself, but to defend the freedoms of others who might not have a voice.
Okay, Section 3, your rights in action. Let's look at the amendments in daily life.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's super easy to look at history as just, dusty old words on parchment, but these laws are fully alive today. Here are 3 of the most famous amendments. The First Amendment protects your freedom of speech, the press, religion, and assembly. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. And the Sixth Amendment, that one guarantees your right to a fair and speedy jury trial.
To make this super concrete, let's look at exactly what these look like on a totally average day. Under the First Amendment, if you see a law in your town that you think is just incredibly unfair, you can stand on a street corner or write an article speaking out against that unjust law. And the police cannot arrest you just for criticizing the government. Under the Fourth Amendment, a police officer can't just kick down your front door because they feel like it. They absolutely need a legal warrant signed by a judge or probable cause to search your home. And under the Sixth, if you're ever accused of a crime, you aren't just thrown into some dungeon on the word of one powerful person. No way. You get to have your case heard in the open, decided by a jury of ordinary citizens, your peers.
Which brings us to Section 4, Freedom and Responsibility, from a biblical perspective.
Now, we need to shift our focus just a little bit here. We've talked about civil law, the Constitution, and legal rights, but having rights isn't the whole story. We also have to talk about how we carry the weight of that freedom. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. This incredibly beautiful scripture from John chapter 8, verse 36, shows us that true freedom goes way, way deeper than legal parameters. The Constitution gives us political freedom, sure, but true, lasting freedom, that begins with God. It's a freedom of the heart and the mind.
Because we have this incredible, God-given freedom, biblical morality teaches us that we have a massive responsibility in how we use it. Freedom always works best when it isn't used selfishly. It's not just about running around saying, I can do whatever I want. No, it's about living with truth, responsibility, and a deep respect for others. It's about using your voice to protect human dignity from unfair power. We're called to use our freedoms to speak truth, to worship faithfully, to seek justice, and to ensure that everyone in our community can flourish safely.
So I want to pause right here and ask you directly, how can knowing your rights help you use your freedom responsibly and actually defend others? Think about it for a second. If you see someone being treated unjustly, being completely denied their God-given dignity, your knowledge of both civil rights and biblical morality is the exact combination you need to stand up and intervene. You literally become a protector.
All right, final section, Section 5, Education with Biblical Morality, exploring the HeroesMart Academy philosophy.
Everything we've discussed today, rights, responsibilities, history, it's all part of your education. But how you use that education is what truly matters. And this brilliantly illustrates our core philosophy. Think about education without morality for a second. What is the absolute point of being highly educated, super smart, and knowing all the laws if you just continue to make selfish, bad choices that end up hurting yourself and hurting the people around you? It's dangerous, right? But when you contrast that with a spiritual mind, rooted in biblical morality, you find real peace. It basically ensures that your intelligence is always guided by wisdom and love. To wrap this whole shebang up, look at this powerful truth from Romans chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. Setting your mind on the flesh brings death and pain, but a spiritual mind brings life and peace. This is our direct experience. When you intertwine your learning with godly morality, you find clarity and genuine peace of mind. So I'm going to leave you with this final, vital question as you continue your educational journey. Are the choices you're making with your freedom bringing you peace, or are they quietly bringing you pain? Keep your mind spiritual. Know your unalienable rights, and use your freedom to be a protector of others. Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.